So let's talk about Ryan G. Williams. Ryan G. Williams is running to be your next representative, House District number 62. House District number 62. I know you already know who you are. That's what I love about you, House District 62. I don't even have to explain to you. Ryan G. Williams is running in the Republican primary. It's coming up June 28th, so in about 20-something days. He is running against somebody else. Carol Riggenbach. So it's right now between Ryan G. Williams and Carol Riggenbach of the Republican Party. And then for the Democrats, apparently, I guess, you're not going to have Donald Valdez no more. I'm Donald Valdez, and I don't want to represent you, dumb motherfuckers. Matthew Martinez is basically, he's in it for the Democrats. He's going to be the Democratic nominee. But Ryan G. Williams, he's got a ton of material out there. He's willing to engage with his audience. And even though I'm a Democrat right now, when it comes to November, I mean, when I think about Matthew Martinez versus Ryan G. Williams, I'll have to take that into account that Matthew Martinez doesn't want to answer. I mean, God, I've been a Democrat for 3 fucking years in the San Luis Valley, and it's been absolutely pointless. Mostly because of Costilla County. First, I want to mention the Boyd Negel. This is the guy's name. It's Sheriff. He's the Sheriff of Archuleta County. And I asked him a couple questions. So even, the sheriff who's running for Archuleta County can answer my questions. He's not going to represent me. Matthew Martinez would be the one that represents me. And I've already had Lauren Boebert. Even on gun issues, even on issues of crime, even on issues that she would agree with me on, she's completely ignored me. What do I need a goddamn politician in office to not give a goddamn flying fuck for? I don't need that shit. No wonder all those cops are standing at Uvalde. The damn politicians don't do shit, so why should the cops do shit? Boyd Negel, the Archuleta County Sheriff, he says that they already do a Shop with the Cop program. Are you paying attention, Danny Sanchez? Are you paying attention, Martin Mays and Garth Crowther and Robert Jackson? Boyd Negel has a Shop with the Cop program. That's a fantastic. You want people to, trust the cops? Okay, well then be a trustworthy, do some community policing and shit. Do some good stuff. Shop with the Cop is a good way for the young person to establish a relationship with the police officer. Shop with the Cop is fantastic. That way, young people, when they become older, when they become young adults, that cop will still remember that person as a child instead of as somebody that he's just going to throw away. I also asked him about Facebook Live on Fridays. I want to say Adams County, the Adams County Sheriff. So the Adams County Sheriff does this Facebook Live Fridays. So, for 3-4 hours, he just Facebook Lives his beat. Driving here, driving there, answering calls. Also asked Boyd Negel. Boyd Negel about Article 2, Section 13, and this is pretty fantastic. Article 2 is Colorado's Bill of Rights. So Section 13 is Colorado's Second Amendment, which he knew about, but not the specific details. And the reason why this question is important, because if you're in a rural area, and the cops takes 30 minutes to, an hour to get to your place, if you're in a rural area, you may have to stand up for yourself. You may have to use force and then justify it later. And you need to have a police officer that understands that shit. I'm sick and tired of these cops going around shooting Johnny Hurleys. Johnny Hurley stopped an active shooter, and then the cops shot him and killed him. What the fuck we need that shit for? The cops jealous? Jealous that Johnny Hurley actually did the job for them? They didn't stop the active shooter. The active shooter that shot and killed a cop. Johnny Hurley did. So I'm glad he's familiar with Article 2, Section 13, but he kind of seemed barely familiar with it. So it's like, we got 70 freedoms on top of we got, the right to speak, right to bear arms, and then 70 other freedoms on top of it. So Robert Jackson, Danny Sanchez, Martin Mays, and Garth Crowther can learn from Boyd Nagel. Boyd Nagel, the Archuleta County Sheriff. For one, he responds to people when they talk to him. He's got a Shop with the Cop program, and he says that Facebook Live Fridays is a good idea in Article 2, Section 13 he is familiar with. Now, let's get back to our main man, Ryan G. Williams. Ryan G. Williams. So Colorado House District 62 is Pueblo and a whole bunch of stuff, but it's the San Luis Valley. So Ryan G. Williams. Okay, here's what he says about ranked choice voting. Verbatim. I'm not opposed to ranked choice voting. I think it could help to make sure that the most popular candidate overall wins. And it eliminates the idea that the third party vote is worthless. Oh my God. That's music to my goddamn ears right there. We're almost a perfect democracy, and he understands how we are, just basically that far away from being a perfect democracy. Third party vote is kind of worthless unless we have ranked choice voting. Ranked choice voting means that the election is actually fair. Oh, what? That person don't have a chance? Go ahead. Throw your vote away, says Orc and those two aliens on The Simpsons. More from Ryan Williams. He says, in terms of poverty, I believe the best way forward is to meet people where they are and to help them get to where they want to be. I don't believe throwing money at the problem works, as we've been trying that for decades, but we need to make Colorado affordable for every person. That means housing, fuel, energy, food, etc. Let's get his mug up there. So, here's Ryan G. Williams. And what's he saying? He's saying he wants to make Colorado affordable for everybody. It means housing, fuel, energy, and food. He says he's going to speak with and listen to the concerns of his colleagues in Denver, but he will voice the concerns that we have in this district. Ultimately, he'll be looking in those areas where we are in agreement and build on those. If he's chosen for a leadership position, it's because he's earned it. I'm very impressed that he responded. Matthew Martinez, again, has not responded. So that's Ryan G. Williams. Colorado has such a great democracy. Referendums, initiatives, recalls, written ballots, 30 days to think about who and what you're voting for, same-day registration, open primaries, and so much more. Colorado's Democratic Republic is just about absolute perfection. Presidential elections are better than parliamentary elections. So close, we just need ranked choice voting, then Colorado's Democratic Republic will be toot sweet. I'm both liberal and conservative on poverty. Okay, so I had, responded to him, and then he says, no, he's not 25 years of age. He's 33 years of age. He doesn't have a YouTube account yet, and there is a piece of legislation that he supports. He's opposed to the reintroduction of wolves. He also says he's not entirely against social programs, just no new ones. Just keep what we got. 4 specific social programs he mentioned: food stamps, unemployment, drug addiction, and housing. That's interesting. Housing, drug addiction, food stamps, unemployment. Keep those social programs. Okay, that's all right. The end goal of every social program should be getting people to be self-sufficient. I agree with that. My God, welfare basically helps the wrong people. If you're the poorest of the poor and you're never going to get a job, you get welfare. But if you're, just not poor or barely middle class, but you need food stamps for a month, you won't get them. Ryan G. Williams says, I'm not a big fan of UBI, mostly because of the overall cost, but I would be in favor of giving surplus tax revenue back to the people. We already do that with Tabor. I wonder if he's talking about it in some other way. He says he's in favor of building houses, a building houses social program. So I don't know if he's talking about, do we have a housing HUD? Is he talking about HUD? But what he's saying is we could use a bunch of new houses. He is saying he wants to create a program, possibly, if he's able to get any of this passed, right? But he's got an idea where he wants to create a program to build a house and stabilize the market through increasing supply. That's fantastic. That is exactly how you fix. People need housing to live. Food, water, clothing, housing. That's on Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Shelter is a Maslow hierarchy of human need. We have to have shelter. Yeah, y'all got to make your fucking money and shit, but we have to have food, water, clothing, and shelter. So with Reagan and George W. Bush, they raised the deficit. Traditionally, it's not what you would think Republicans market themselves as, right? The tax and spend deficit. But no, the deficit, not hawks, doves, but since they were Republicans, it was easier to get it done. So I wonder if perhaps Ryan G. Williams might actually be able to get some housing here in the San Luis Valley. Maybe that's what we need, a Republican who's actually serious about housing. And he's talking about stabilizing the housing market. So he understands, the free market or whatever. So, and now I'm thinking, since he's thinking about government housing, I'm wondering if there's a way to get a private company to build some housing. Can we get a private company to build some housing? More Ryan G. Williams. He says, you're also correct that one legislator can only do so much, but every movement starts with one person with an idea. Actually, there's a one man with courage makes the majority. I'm the one who believes that it isn't about the left way or the right way, but we must find the best way forward. People say that you're mostly Republican. I'm okay that you're more right-wing than left-wing. I'm okay with that. You don't have to pretend that you're not. He's got a lot of right-wing ideas, abortion and anti-drugs and some other things. But we must find the best way forward. I think that's true. And the great pool of ideas, the best ideas should prevail, which usually ends up in the middle somewhere. When you're driving, sometimes you have to correct left. Other times you got to correct right. But overall, we must avoid overcorrection, which I feel we do way too often. And as you said, balance. I think that's good. That we must avoid overcorrection. I like that. Don't fix what isn't broken, but fix where we are definitely. But fix, what is broken. Don't fix what isn't broken, but do fix what is broken. As a minority leader, I'd have a lot more influence. I'd happily accept any leadership role my assembly wanted me to have. So basically, he's not going to run for a leadership position. I was trying to ask Ryan G. Williams if he was going to run for a leadership position. Would I want my representative from the San Luis Valley to go into Denver and just be a Mr. fucking big time? If you're a right winger or a left winger, what I want is for you to bring home the bacon, for you to go up there and, make our world better. So if he was to run for a leadership position, since he's a Republican, he would be, the only leadership position would just be the minority house leader. They already got a minority house leader, so nobody's going to, tap him on the shoulder. He's just going to have to go into the house and just say, hey, I'm here, and, I'm here, I'm proud. We're here, and just say he's going to run and try to take over the leadership. So he's not going to do that. That's okay. It's kind of a big, but I wouldn't hate that. I wouldn't hate that he's got some ambition. When he goes to the House, he's going to run for a leadership position. Why? So that way he can have a bigger voice for the San Luis Valley and get us everything that we need. I currently support a number of bills. He talks about the reintroduction of Wolves Initiative, which I am so opposed to, but he had talked about that there was this one bill, and I'm not against the idea of the bill, okay, so he wants a bill where it says, if we say, okay, we're going to reintroduce these wolves, but you got the whole state is saying that it's going to just affect one part of the state, that one part of the state can opt out. Now, that's what they did with marijuana. Marijuana became legal in Colorado 10 years ago, but they left it open for cities like Alamosa to opt out, and they did. They said, no, we're not going to progress forward. We will not progress forward. So that's the same thing with the reintroduction of wolves. You can opt out, and what you can do, if you want to make sure that it's 100%, God, you really hate the wolves, and you better write the legislation. Write the legislation, write the initiative, put it on the ballot, and then you could get the local counties in the San Luis Valley to say, we don't want those wolves here. Now, that being said, what the hell? All these goddamn tough guys around here, y'all you're afraid of the damn wolves? I love the Wolves Initiative. I love the Wolves Initiative. If they wanted to put initiative on the ballot, they could stop the wolves from coming to their county if they wanted to, if it was that serious and important to them. But it's a bunch of reactionary dickheads. It's like they legalized marijuana, now they're introducing wolves. They got rid of daylight savings time. What more are they going to change? I like the Wolves Initiative. The Wolves Initiative is You got a bunch of cows and you got a bunch of elk and you got a bunch of deer and they're eating all the grass and they kill all the grass and then there's no more rabbits and there's no more small animals. And then without the plants and without the small animals, then you don't have, and then the water and the rivers and everything starts to deplete, and it even kills the cows and the elks who are eating the grass to begin with. With wolves, you got the grass. They maintain, there's a balance, there's an ecosystem balance. And they're getting all, butthurt about this shit because up north, this is, the fucking 5-hour drive north of us, at least 5 hours, if not 10 hours north. There's been some wolves that have eaten some of the cows. That's not the wolves that have been reintroduced. We haven't reintroduced one single wolf yet. I think that it would be fantastic to have a program right here about reintroducing the wolves. You would have, it would be marked, people would pay attention to it. There's also a ton of space, so it's not like just go this direction for about 50 miles and it's nothing but mountains on top of mountains on top of mountains. Put them on San Antonio Mountain. Nobody lives by San Antonio Mountain. Put him off to the side of San Antonio Mountain. So I like that he's not totally against social programs, but he doesn't like that instead of being just a safety net, they're turning into hammocks. So people are just, laying in them all day long for the rest of their life. Ryan G. Williams also writes he's going to work day in and day out to find ways to refocus the state systems by coupling compassion with accountability to eliminate fraud and encourage self-sufficiency. Candidate Williams aims to maintain balance within the political system and will keep on pushing until the correct balance is reached. Candidate Williams is proud to support and protect rural water rights from export, along with recent legislation pushing to better utilize our water. Candidate Ryan G. Williams is committed to finding ways to keep family farms going and the wells running, finding new and innovative ways to meet our needs. Candidate Ryan G. Williams will push for a new approach to see a brighter future aimed at real healing rather than enabling, marginalizing, or imprisoning. Mental health issues are particularly important to candidate Williams. I wonder where he is on the Second Amendment. That's one of the conservative issues I would like to think we should. I hate Lauren Boebert, but I don't question whether or not Lauren Boebert's going to take away my Second Amendment or my other freedoms, for that matter. Candidate Ryan G. Williams is vehemently opposed to elective abortion. Abortion should not be made as commonplace or as accessible as pulling tooth or plastic surgery. It should be seen as the life and death issue it is. He's got a plan to restructure the laws of Colorado to allow for abortion when absolutely necessary, but to ensure life is preserved as often as possible. Colorado has overcorrected on abortion. But, I came out of Kentucky, so it's such a right-wing fucking cesspool. At least when I was there. Mitch McConnell has been running shit in Kentucky for the last 177 years. And so when it comes to abortion, I like Roe v. Wade because the first 3 months you can do the abortion. The next 3 months, it's up to the states. And then the last 3 months, you could get the abortion. So first 3 months, no abortion. Last 3 months, you could get the abortion. And then the middle 3 months was up to the states. So I like that. That was very moderate. But instead of doing that, you got a bunch of people that's trying to say abortion, all as soon as morning after pills abortion, right? Which is ridiculous. But then in Colorado, they say that you can abort a baby all the way up to 9 months. And while there are some exceptions, why would a woman wait to that long? You're basically killing a fucking baby. I mean, what? You waited 9 months? You waited 9 months? I mean, ugh. I can't stand partial birth abortions. If they would have waited one more day, they're outside the woman's body, so that's birth. But it was basically a full fetus beforehand. And the partial birth abortions where they jab the baby in the head and suck out its brains or whatever, it's pretty fucking sick. It's pretty fucked up and pretty sick. So we need balance. I'm going to go ahead with Jared Polis ways, but I hear you a little bit, Ryan G. Williams, on abortion, but that's not going to move me at all. Economics. Tell me, how are you going to make sure that there's no police brutality? How are you going to eliminate crime? How are you going to help with poverty? How are you going to bring jobs into the neighborhood? These are the main issues. Also, education, choice. I like school choice, that idea. At least Sudbury model schools, definitely. And there's a conservative idea. And something else, healthcare. We need good health care. Whether you want universal health care or not, how about just a clinic? I grew up in a poor area in Kentucky, and we had a clinic, at least a clinic. So he's talking about how we have rights and they're fundamental, and I like that. The right to vote, the right to bear arms, the right to due process. Very nice, because we do have a lot of rights and lots of freedoms, like 70 freedoms, right? So lawmakers should seek to prevent government overreach and encroachment on these rights, not encourage it. Candidate Ryan G. Williams promises to protect our constitutionally protected rights from encroachment. Cultural anthropologist Margaret Mead wrote, children must be taught how to think, not what to think. Too much of education is taught in reverse. We teach children what to think rather than to how to think. I can't stand public education. I cannot stand public education. Ryan G. Williams comes out of Conejos County, and Conejos County has a strong central committee for the Republican Party. Let me just tell you about, I talked to a goddamn Republican in Conejos County, and he didn't realize that the Republicans run Conejos, just like the Democrats run Costilla County. So this is Conejos County, you got Mitchell Jarvis, and then you have, that's just a race. So, okay, you have, like I said, it's all a bunch of, the races, okay? So you have Nathan, that's one Democrat. You got the sheriff's race, which is competitor. Assessor, okay, that's a Democrat too. Okay, this isn't turned out that all the damn commissioners are Republicans. The sheriff is a Republican. The Democrat is a Republican, the surveyor is a Republican, and the coroner is a Republican. Who are the Democrats running for coroner of Conejos County? Not a goddamn person. Who are the Democrats in Conejos County running for treasurer or surveyor? Not a goddamn soul. Nobody. Nobody at all. Hey, Democrats in Conejos County, you losers. You fucking losers. How in the hell are you going to goddamn win any of these elections if you don't even put somebody up? You got one competitive race. Martin Mays. Martin Mays is the only Democrat in Conejos County that has any courage whatsoever goddamned ever. Nathan Rubal, he's, a Democrat clerk. He's been there for Naomi Keys, Democrat assessor. So the Republicans, you should put up somebody for clerk and assessor. But the Democrats, the 3 county commissioners and the sheriff, those are your 4 top positions of a county in Colorado. Now compare that to Costilla County. The 3 county commissioners are Democrats. Who's running for District 2? 3 Democrats, no Republicans. Hey, Republicans in Costilla County, where the fuck are you? Dumb motherfuckers don't know about caucuses, don't know about getting into a civil society and actually not being a KKK terrorist piece of shit. Clerk and recorder, Democrat. Joan Dean T. Plasek. No Republican candidate running for clerk. No Republican running for sheriff. No Republican running for assessor. No Republican running for treasurer. No Republican running for surveyor. No Republican running for coroner. What in the hell are you doing? What in the hell? Hey, Costilla County Republicans. The Costilla County Republicans are just as big of losers as the Democrats in Conejos County. So I would say, I would say if you're a Democrat, you probably should be in Costilla County, but I've been a Democrat, and I can't stand them motherfuckers. So what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that Conejos County is kicking ass. The Republican Party in Conejos County is kicking ass, and the Democratic Party, as a party at least, is kicking ass in Costilla County. And Ryan G. Williams is part of that central committee of the Republican Party in Conejos County. Another thing about Costilla County, here in Conejos County, the Democrats actually meet up every month, which I don't even... Why do you meet up every month if you're not going to run anybody, you fucking losers, you fucking piece of shit losers? They don't give a shit about, progress or whatever. They're okay with the Republicans running things around here. What was I saying? Don't lose it. Costilla County. Fuck. Okay, so... I was going to say that, I don't know. Okay, so Ryan G. Williams comes out of Conejos County, the Central Committee for Conejos County, and they're kicking ass and taking names. So he's got a strong machine that backs him, or should back him. I'm not sure if they like him or not, but he's been there, and they should. He's, more one of them than one of me. But I like the guy. He's anti-drugs. as a marijuana immigrant from Kentucky, I take this very serious. I want my best foot put forward. I want to be the best representative of myself as I could be. The war on drugs is bullshit. When did we lose the right to our own bodies? But I'm fine with just having marijuana being legalized for 10, 20, 30 years before getting the other drugs legalized. What, we need, cocaine and crack or something? No, we don't. No, we don't. A lot of time where there's drugs, there's also violence and gang activity and other fucking bullshit. It was never the drugs that was the problem. It was all the crime and violence and gang activity that it brought with it. Marijuana is legal now. That was my one vice. I'm okay with it just right there. Since I'm a marijuana immigrant from Kentucky, I comply with all the marijuana laws. I comply with all the laws of Colorado. And like I said, I can't stand anybody, Nah, I don't want that. I don't need a bunch of meth in the fucking... I don't need meth in our community. So, yeah, I'm okay with just having marijuana legalized and fuck all the rest of the drugs. Crack down on all the rest of the drugs. That shit, people, it does bring a bunch of crap. So I'm okay with that for now. Ask me in 2032, it might be different, but for now. So he's been on the Central Committee for the Conejos County Republicans. He's also served in various capacities in his church. So I guess he's a Christian. I like that. Jesus is a good guy. Jesus is a good guy, and there's a lot of, the 10 Commandments. Thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not kill. The golden rule. Jesus talked about the golden rule. Jesus also, fed the populace. I like Jesus. He's also talking about he's going to support and protect rural water rights from export, which is interesting. I think that, doesn't the Rio Grande, don't they export the Rio Grande water along with recent legislation? Pushing, to better utilize our water. Candidate Ryan G. Williams is committed to finding ways to keep family farms going, wells running. I think I've already mentioned some of this. Mental health, abortion. Lawmakers should prevent government overreach. Yeah, I have read all this. Okay, so he's talking about STEM, science, technology, E and mathematics, engineering. He wants to reignite the fire of trade schools. I like the idea of school choice. I can't stand public education. I went to the high school here in Antonito to get a debate between, a Democrat and a Republican commissioner. And they said, we don't want a good exchange of ideas. We just want the Republicans to win because that's our team. We don't care for the best ideas. That's horse shit. That's a good idea. How come we don't have debates? How come we don't have a forum where all these candidates go to so that we could see them side by side and they could say what their program is versus their program, and then let we, the people, instead, they'll stay in their house, pass a bunch of signs and shit, and then just make us do a bunch of guesswork. Trade should be seen on the same playing field as professional degrees 100%. In fact, trade should be maybe higher, because with trades, when I pay a lawyer and he doesn't do shit for me, well, what the fuck was the point? But when I pay a plumber and he unclogs my drains, I actually got something for my money. So I think trades are more important, frankly, than a lot of this stuff. Get the trades down, get Booker T. Washington down, then you could get the W.E.B. Du Bois. He said thank you to everybody who showed up at the multi-county and state assemblies April 8th to 9th, 2022. That's another thing about Costilla County. They're corrupt as shit. I was a Bernie Sanders delegate, but they forgot to call me up. Bunch of fucking... I can't stand them Democrats in Costilla County. I can't stand them motherfuckers. They're in favor of crime. They're okay with the Nazis and the crime and the bullshit that's happening over there. And they don't give a shit about the poverty and the poor people. They're not doing shit about their poor people either. Conejos and Costilla County has the greatest poor population in the entire state. Ryan is listed first on the June 28th. I don't know how caucuses work, so actually maybe I should I should ask him those questions like later on. Just how do caucuses work? I couldn't find a single fucking Democrat that would tell me how caucuses work. I was so excited about Colorado politics. I haven't gone to a single fucking caucus. I didn't have security, so there's a lot of things I couldn't do. But I've never heard one single Democrat say, hey, we're having a caucus. Why don't you come out and, join our caucus? They just want to put a fucking sign out, act like they did something. They got their little cliques. They don't give a shit about other people. And that's why it's like... He points out that Pueblo's got a crime and racism problem and some other things. So, anti-drugs. He loves and trusts his county. He was talking about suicide, stopping suicides. He's of, by, and for the Valley. Yeah, I like what Ryan G. Williams has to offer so far as a Republican. As a Republican, Ryan G. Williams is not that bad.